All right, we are live. I wanted to welcome you to maybe the only session you're attending without Copilot in the title. Congratulations for finding us. But let's be honest, that doesn't mean we're not going to talk a little bit about Copilot. I'm Lars Johnson. I'm the general manager for collaboration and AI. And today I'm going to be joined by both Chris and Mayank, who are in our partner-facing organization. Because after all, this session is about partners. And if you didn't think it was about partners, now would be your time to exit over there. I joined the company 20 years ago, just had my 20th year anniversary. And the first project that I was on was something called the Next Generation Partner Program. And it was a way of rethinking how we reward partners for the great work that you all do. And the leader that I worked for at the time, and it was so impressionable to have this as my first assignment at Microsoft, said, Lars, let's not be confused. We build great products, but partners are the lifeblood of turning those products into businesses. And at every stage in my career that I've worked for, that has been true. When we were transitioning our Office business to the cloud with Office 365, it was partners in the creation of the CSP program, adding valued services that helped bring our customers to the cloud. When I worked on Teams amidst a pandemic, you were bringing unified communications and collaboration services and bringing and digitizing so many processes that had to be done within a heartbeat overnight in the COVID era. And that work was done by partners. And of course, what we're here to talk about today is in the era of Gen AI. Our customers are all asking how they're going to get the best returns out of this amazing new technology. And that will be driven by partners. Of course, those are all beautiful words, but we're in the business of making money. And I wanted to highlight a couple slides on how much partners impact our overall business. First, on the left, for modern work more broadly, you can see that in this last quarter, 55% of our new business was influenced by partners. And when we think about the change that is coming through the innovation of Gen AI and Copilot, you all delivered 9,000, and are in the process of delivering 9,000 engagements on Copilot. And those engagements alone are leading to something in the neighborhood of $2 billion in influence pipeline. So, from my words and the numbers, I want to take a moment to thank you, partners, for all of the work you do to drive our business and transformation. That is an applause moment. You get to applaud for yourself. We've got 3 segments today. I'm going to spend time setting the scene on our overall modern work strategy and how we go to market. And really, at the core of that is our 6 solution plays. I'm going to focus on 3 of them in particular to go a little bit deeper, to show you a little bit about some of the product innovation, but then also to talk about how Gen AI and Copilot is really changing the game across all 6 solution plays. I'm then going to bring Chris up on stage, and he is going to work with a very important partner, NTT, and they're going to talk about how their journey in collaboration and communication has been influenced by AI. And then finally, Mayank will join us on stage to talk about the thing that I know is near and dear to your heart, our overall partner investments and our enablement. So that's going to be the flow for today. We talked about if there's one takeaway at Ignite that we want to make clear, it is this idea of how Microsoft 365, Copilot, and the new world of agents all work together. We know we're in a world right now where our Copilot usage and motion is taking off, and all of a sudden, now we have to think about this whole new world of agents. Well, what does that mean? I'm going to take a little bit of time to help make sure that that message is clear. First on the left, we are in the business of personal productivity. We have been in this business for a long, long time, starting back with the Office apps. Right now, the very core of that experience is Microsoft 365 and the apps that users use every single day. We believe that in the era of AI, every individual will have a co-pilot. It will be personalized to them. It will understand them. It will know, for instance, the languages that they prefer to speak, their job role. It will help them with all of the individual tasks that they need to do to be more productive. On the right-hand side, we have business processes. These are not individual. They are owned by a group or organization. And we think in this world, the way that Gen AI will influence our business processes, it will make them far more efficient, and there will be an agent for every business process. So on the left, we have a co-pilot for every individual. On the right, we have an agent for every business process. There are many companies that are trying to do one or the other of those things. What we think the magic sauce of Microsoft's strategy is we become effectively the connective tissue that brings both of those worlds together. Because what we think is going to happen is an individual's co-pilot, their assistant, will then be able to connect and work with agents for any given business process. And that is a powerful strategy that we think is differentiated and will lead to ongoing success in this era. Of course, all backed by the promise of what we already have with Microsoft 365, enterprise-grade security, privacy, and controls. But how is it all going? We are humbled by 1 year after Copilot became in general availability that 70% of the Fortune 500 companies are already using Copilot. And in these growth years, and many of you remember this in the early days of cloud adoption and cloud migration, these are ramp years. We expect to see massive increases in usage year over year and even quarter over quarter. Well, in just 1 quarter alone, in the last quarter, we've seen a 50% increase in Copilot usage intensity. That is the number of time that users go back to Copilot to ask questions and ask for assistance. And then, of course, it's not just on the usage and adoption side. It's on the actual product development as we continue to deliver wave after wave of innovation with over 300 new features just shipped this year. If there's one slide that summarizes the entire modern work go-to-market strategy, it is this one. And while there are 6 boxes here, all of them, which are great, we're all taking a picture of it. This is very good. We will also distribute the slides to you as well. But here it is, 6 solution areas. Many of these are deeply familiar to you all. And I think you could have the impression, based on the number of times that we've talked about Copilot and agents at this Ignite, that the only one of these matters is the top left. And I'm here to tell you that is just not the way the relationship of these solution areas work. The way that you should think about this is the top left box, which I just kind of described, is changing every single one of the other solution plays on the slide. There's not a single one that isn't being up-leveled, new innovation brought to it thanks to what is happening with generative AI. And so I'm going to make that real for you right now. Let's start with the bread and butter of Microsoft 365 E3, what is known as our secure productivity workload. Many of you think about this as the core Microsoft 365 apps. But what we're also doing is we're giving every M365 E3 subscriber the Microsoft Copilot Assistant, which is effectively a way that they, with enterprise-grade data protection, now have the ability to use Gen AI. So that solution play in itself is being made new by Gen AI. Cloud and endpoints. The very nature of the relationship when we have when we have workloads virtualized in the cloud, allows us to take advantage of the compute and scale required by Gen AI in the virtualization discussion. In converged communications, how many of you answer a phone call if you don't know who's calling today? Okay, there's one person in the room that actually still does that today. Think about what can happen with these core workloads of things like telephony when we apply Gen AI to telephony. We can actually, for instance, you can get off a standard call that you make on PSTN, and the entire conversation can be recapped, and you can understand what you would then take an action out of that next call and bring that context. Converged communications are becoming new again, thanks to AI. For frontline workers, when we talk about automation of business process and agents, can you imagine a more relevant audience that are effectively the backbone of business processes today? Think about in retail or in operations, the amount of business process efficiencies and the amount of information and context we can provide our frontline workers that can be served up by Gen AI. And finally, when it comes to employee experience, employees understand that the skills of tomorrow, even my 12-year-old understands that the skills of tomorrow will be based on how well individuals leverage generative AI. And so this idea of helping organizations measure their journey on AI adoption, to be able to parse out different groups of users that are using AI and are not, and their impact on overall business processes and productivity becomes a fundamental component of what has formerly been a Viva conversation, which is now up-leveled into a conversation about Microsoft 365 Copilot. The entire set of solution plays now have been lifted up with generative AI. Of course, we keep laser focused on our business results for each of them. We look at revenue, we look at usage, and then we look at net new customers or net paid seat adds. But an increasingly important metric that we use at the very bottom is the idea of the percentage of opportunities that are shared with you all, that are shared with partners. Because as we take more and more time to work with our customers on what it even means to implement Gen AI, we want a powerful ecosystem of conversations. An example that we have would be, for instance, in Teams rooms. There was a profound era of customers getting ready for a hybrid environment coming out of the pandemic, and many of you skilled up on the practice of hybrid in Teams rooms. We want that business to continue to scale because there's so much opportunity ahead of us, and we want partners to be at the key of that scale. Okay, at this point, I'm going to spend a little bit of time. I can't do all 6 of them just because of time, so I'm going to pick 3 favorites: secure productivity, cloud endpoints, and converged communications. And in each of them, I'll just do a little bit about kind of what third parties are telling about these particular solution plays, and then I'll show a little bit of new technology. So secure productivity, this is really at the bread and butter. This is our fundamental core business. And it starts with the Microsoft 365 apps, which at the very center consolidate costs across a disparate system of apps and allow for manageability. But what would our third parties say about this? Well, Forrester did a total economic study, and when they looked at what customers on average save when they consolidate the number of solutions that we provide, whether that's in their communications ecosystem, their management tools, up to 60% in reduced licensing costs, an average of about $55 per user per month. Why does that matter right now? In an increased world of Gen AI spending, we need to see cost consolidation in the core, and that starts with Microsoft 365 E3. But like I said, things are starting to modernize. And what we see is this new phenomenon of bring your own AI to work. And so a lot of what this looks like is using, for instance, ChatGPT side by side with your Microsoft 365 tools. We not only provide the ability for users to experience Microsoft Copilot for every M365 subscriber, we allow IT to effectively understand when employees are bringing their own AI to work. We have, with our customers, uncovered 750,000 instances where the use of Gen AI at work could be considered unsafe because of the use of company data and Gen AI interacting. We can effectively help our customers understand what is happening without IT sanction in a world where Gen AI is being brought to work. And then we can say, we've got a better answer for you. And the better answer for you is in the Microsoft 365 app that your employees already have access to. Now comes with Microsoft Copilot with enterprise data protection so that we know that these interactions are safe. And instead of paying or bringing separate solutions, you can use that far more powerfully in the context of your work. But it's not just enough to keep up. We need to be innovative on top of that. You heard about Copilot Pages, which is really our first AI-centric artifact in the collaboration era. All I'm in is Microsoft Copilot, the version that comes with Microsoft 365 with enterprise data protection. I've done a pretty standard search. And what I've then brought it to doing is having it run in a multiplayer interface. By taking one query, by then bringing it into Pages, and then inviting other collaborators to continue that workflow, I've now turned an individual workload into a group collaboration workload. That is the type of innovation that it is not just about us being good enough in this world of web-based AI. It is about continuing to innovate on the top. And Copilot Pages, which is available for every M365 subscriber, is a key differentiator in doing that. OK, cloud endpoints. We used to talk about, in the cloud era, was it possible for us to stream Office through the cloud? At the time, that seemed like a magnificent feat. And sure enough, it was possible. It's when we turned into the world of Office 365. We asked ourselves, is the same thing possible with Windows? And what is possible in a world where Windows effectively can be streamed through Windows 365 in a secure manner? In that time, there was a question of whether or not we could bring our data and workloads to the cloud, because was the cloud going to be safe? We now know that cloud is the key to protection, and having Windows and endpoints available across all devices for low deployment costs is actually a major differentiator in a company's security and compliance posture. Of course, it's not just us that are touting our capabilities. Gartner named our Windows 365 offering for the second year in a row a leader. And every one of those small centimeters of growth over our competitors represents hundreds and hundreds of feature capabilities. And of course, it all comes down to the numbers. We know that based on a Forrester study, that customers who include Windows 365 in their IT infrastructure are saving both money and time on the software cost through the new onboarding processes for employees, an 88% reduction in IT costs. And of course, it's not just on the software side and the services side, it's on the hardware side. When we enable BYOD, for instance, with contractor roles, we can see up to $750 in savings. Of course, there was also innovation that you may have seen introduced through Satya on our hardware as well. And this is a really exciting opportunity. We used to really dream about a world, especially coming out of COVID, of this idea of what if we didn't have to lug our personal devices back into the workplace? What if you could arrive at work, show up to a workstation, and have your entire world streamed from the cloud through Windows 365? And with a device like we introduced with Windows 365 Link at a price point of about $350 and available in April, we are starting to see what the possibility of that world in virtualization. I'm going to roll a video that kind of demonstrates Windows 365 Link in action. One of the things that I love about that video, and one of the reasons why Gartner cited us as a leader as they talk to customers in the virtualization world, is the direct integration with the Microsoft 365 apps. And so some of the challenges traditionally that have been presented in a virtual environment, like having the crystal clarity over communications workloads, like within Teams meetings, have really been optimized within this particular configuration, and it really unlocks the total confidence to be able to go dataless on the device and Windows 365. Final solution area that I'm going to be focused on is one that is near and dear to my heart, because in the year 2020, as the pandemic was spreading, I was asked to work on Microsoft Teams, and there is nothing quite like something that will make your heart permanently Teams purple, like working on Teams during the pandemic. And so for this particular solutions play, converged communications, the first thing I would say about it is communications, we are finding, is one of the top workloads in which users are experiencing Gen AI. How many of you have tried a meeting recap feature in Microsoft Teams? Many, many, many of you. And if you haven't, where have you been? And that is one of our leading use cases for how employees experience Gen AI. The idea that I can catch up on a meeting that I missed, because turns out across any single role, we're a lot in meetings, and that's a super helpful thing. So I would say in our communications, our ability to experience the idea of intelligent communications or Gen AI communications is significant. With rich engagements, many customers are currently able to have lots of great internal collaboration, but we want engagements to be with customers and partners, and that to be a very seamless experience. Right now, a key to that is with Teams Phone and the ability to be able to call anyone through the PSTN network. But increasingly, we want to have the right level of federation across tenants to allow for very seamless external collaboration with customers and partners. Finally, flexible workspaces, the very idea that the promise of the workplace, especially in a post-pandemic era, is across physical, it's across digital, but the connective tissue across the two. And then finally, the very idea that in collaboration, we need to be very vigilant around the amount of protection that we put around our communications, and not just on areas like data loss protection that we've historically funded. But I don't know if for any of you who went to the Teams session yesterday where Ilya demoed even the kind of groundbreaking work we're doing to prevent any given bot from impersonating or being able to join any types of communication. And so staying ahead of the protective measures that we need to take in the Gen AI era. Teams is the smart place to work. Many of you would have thought that in a post-pandemic era, we would see Teams usage going down and saying, oh, finally we're back in person. We've seen the opposite. We've seen that in a world where our communications and Teams are effectively becoming interchangeable, that usage is only increasing, and we're adapting for workloads, more advanced workloads, that are allowing Teams to shine in new ways. For instance, in the center with Teams rooms, maybe not all of you are aware, but the ability to effectively have, in order for Copilot transcript to work in a hybrid meeting, we have a voice and facial recognition that helps understand who's saying what, identifies those particular comments and attribution to an individual speaker, and really allows the next level of understanding to happen. And then we have Teams Premium. And the way that we should think about Teams Premium is the advanced communication workloads that will help move a customer beyond the simplicity of chat and meetings into their broad communication spectrum. There is one new member of the family of Teams Premium that I'm incredibly proud to announce that as of this week is in general availability, and that is Microsoft Places. The very idea of Microsoft Places came up as we started to think a couple years back, what was the workplace going to look like in a post-pandemic world? What was going to be the future of effectively commercial real estate and how we used digital workspaces like Teams with the physical workplace? And there were several things that we noticed right off the bat. Number one, people come into the office for other people, not because of company mandates. And while companies were trying to implement kind of individual solutions for office check-ins and desk booking, what they really wanted was to have all of that information in the places where they were already collaborating. I already do my schedule and calendar management in Outlook. Why couldn't we update it to have that information on where I'm going to be going into work? I already communicate with my coworkers. We're all over Teams all of the time. Why couldn't we update, for instance, presence, which currently says what you're doing, I'm in a meeting, I'm out of the office, et cetera, to where we physically are, so we can start to have far better collaboration. And so with Places, the very first thing that we offer is the ability to understand who is going to be where and who is where. And that is a game changer as employees start to think about their use of the actual office as a key productivity resource. We also are thinking about this idea of modernization. When we have a plan that changes when it comes to our hybrid schedules, shouldn't we be able to have our schedule automatically adjusted and having the resources that we need to book for any particular interaction done on our behalf? If I change from being at home to coming into the office today, shouldn't I have access to all of the resources and say, well, we're going to need to be able to book you a desk, book you a conference room, and have all of that sorted out by generative AI? And that is a modern workplace experience. And then finally, in optimization, which basically says, as we start to aggregate all of these trends, like the trends that say, hey, the office in Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays is really busy and it's impossible to get any place to sit. And on Mondays and Wednesdays, it may be really empty. We can aggregate all those signals to make very informed decisions on energy savings, cost savings, and the use of a very expensive resource, which